Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall from the Bias Room at Simpler Trading. Hope everybody is doing great. Today is July the 8th, and I wanted to go over a trade that we just closed yesterday in Broadcom, symbol AVGO. We're looking at it on the chart here, and we did a trade in our Bias Room. And there are three ways that you can do a trade typically. So this is an earnings announcement here. That's a dividend, earnings announcement, earnings announcement, earnings announcement. And you can get the run into earnings as a trade. Typically, I don't like to hold it over earnings because you don't know what's going to happen. Could go way up, could go way down. Then your second trade is, after earnings, and your third one is in between the earnings. These are 3 months apart, so you got some time there to do stuff, right? This is the trade I want to focus on today. We just closed this trade. We've had others, quite a few others in AVGO actually, but we entered this trade right there. I went back and looked, and we actually entered it on June the 9th. It's right after this flush down, and as you can see right there, we came into that blue line, which is a 20-day moving average. And I don't have all of on this chart, I don't have fib levels and voodoo lines and all the kind of other stuff I look at, but mainly I'm looking at simple moving average right there, that blue line. Came back down and just touched this blue line, and I said, chances are, I did the math, and I said chances are this is probably going to hold, and we're probably going to go higher. Now my target was 300 or 280 to 300 or 300 to 280, this zone right here. And so we bought here, starts going up, comes back, holds the 20 again, takes off, trade's doing great. So if you look at this and you go, well, how that kind of makes sense on the surface, but how do you play it? There are a lot of things you could do. You can buy some long calls, you could sell naked puts down here or put credit spreads, you could buy call debit spreads, diagonals, calendars, whatever, but I chose to do a butterfly and target up here because in this scenario the butterfly gets a whole lot of bang for the buck, and that's what I chose to use here. And there's also some other considerations like volatility and so forth, but we set up a butterfly trade in the Bias Room. I'm going to put a link to the Bias Room for a trial if you guys want to check that out. I'll put a link down here in the description, but let me show you what I'm looking at here. So and again, this platform is Thinkorswim, which is now schwab.com right there. If you go to the trade tab, if you're not familiar with this platform, I'm targeting 300 is my strike. Now right now the stock's $274, but when we started this it was much lower. You see that 11,000, that's open interest. That means there's a bunch of contracts sitting out there. 11,307 contracts sitting out there from people that are thinking the same thing, that this thing is going to 300. Now my time frame is 15 August. I wanted to give it plenty of time for it to work. Let's go back to the chart. I wanted to give it plenty of time to work. We did the math. The simple math said that yes, it's very possible that we get to 300, if it keeps going and holds support and all that kind of stuff. So far it's doing that. So what we did, we set up a very simple call butterfly. Check this out. We did a 15 August and we used 280, 300, 320. So we're 20 points wide here on our butterfly. 280, 300, 320, 20 points, right? Call butterfly, very simple. It costs $1.45. Now on these trades, especially in the Bias Room, I will post them as this is more of a, here's the idea, you can size it up or down, because I don't know what size account you're trading, right? So you can size this up or down. I posted this as 4 contracts, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And that costs $580. If you say 4 times $1.45, $580, right? And this is actually 400, kind of roughly, but anyway, $580 is our max risk, our max cost on the butterfly. So it starts going up, and I don't remember exactly. I think it was on this move up here. You see that little gap. We bought it for $1.45. It had gone to $3.23, and we started with 4 contracts. And again, you could do 10 or 20 or 50 or 100. It doesn't matter, however large or size you want to go on this thing, right? So 4 contracts, starts going up, starts making money. I decided, I looked at it, I was doing the math, and I said, let's take half of the trade off. If you did 40, we would take 20 off here, right? So in our example trade here, we did 4 contracts, take off 2, and we got $3.23 for 2 of those. Now, what does that do to our trade? Remember, we started with $580 of risk here. We took 2 off, so we took half the trade off, and look at this. You see that $66? That's a plus 66, not negative 66. So that means that this is a true risk-free trade. You cannot lose money on this trade. In fact, the worst you could possibly do is make $66 profit if you are outside the butterfly here. If you're way up here or way down here, you're still going to make $66 profit once we took half that trade off. And that's the beauty of knowing how to manage trades and managing trades as you go and that kind of thing. And trading's a lot more than just set it and forget it in a lot of cases. But this trade was working great, so we kept, we're still in the trade with 2 contracts. We continue to rip higher, and you see this 277. You guys probably know my wife is the Fibonacci Princess trader Tammy. She's on YouTube and X as well, and she ran some Fibonacci analysis for me, and we came up with this. Now, this was yesterday, AVGO on a daily chart, and what this shows is we're $277, almost 280. There's 280. There's 300. What this shows is that we're going to be running into a lot of resistance there at 280, 281, 282, 287. 300's up here. So what I was thinking is that we probably come up here and hit this and maybe get rejected. Maybe we can come all the way back down here to support down here. And in that case, it wouldn't destroy the trade, but we would give up all the profit that we had in the trade. And I didn't want to sit around and wait on this. So I decided, as we're coming into all of this, which is basically right here, all of this overhead, this is a ceiling we're going to bump our head onto most likely, and maybe we even come back down to that 20-day. So I decided to go ahead and take the win on the trade. And let me show you this. We move this over, go back to our Analyze tab. So again, this was yesterday. We took off the other 2 contracts here, so now we have 0 left, and we made $800 profit on a $580 trade. That's about 137%, 138%, something like that. In any case, if you can make $800 on 500, it's pretty good, right? Now again, I said you could size this thing up or down any way you wanted to. I did this in another account. I'm trading multiple accounts. I did one with 20 contracts, and it was about $4,500 with $2,900 risk. That's pretty good. That's pretty reasonable. And again, we manage the risk on the downside, and we manage it as we go as well. Now, the difference here, if we say, you know what, I don't want to take this off, I'm going to hold it till it gets to 300. You see over here, if we get to 300 at the very end of the trade, it's worth $7,400. That's amazing, right? And that is very doable. You have to know what the risk reward is on when you're setting up a trade like that. But again, to make $800, it's actually up a little bit more. If I would have kept it, but to get this, you've got to be there at the end of the very end of the trade. It's got to be sitting right at 300 at the end of the trade. And what happens if it pulls back and all that kind of stuff? So again, what I was thinking. This thing 15 August, it's still, you see that? It's still got 38 days left on. That's more than a month. Do we think it's going to keep going up for a month? The NASDAQ could pull back. Anything could happen. We're going to get into earnings season and so forth. So again, we took the win, and what we will do is we'll watch this. We pull back to the 20. We'll definitely consider re-entering this again for that run into 300, but we'll set up a new trade, and maybe it's a butterfly, maybe it's a debit spread or whatever. We'll monitor that as we go. So again, if you like these type trades. We do all kind of trades, butterflies, debit spreads, whatever, and we can size them up or down again because it depends on your account size. But if you like that, here is the room is called Bias. It's at Simpler Trading. I have a separate room called Bias again. I'll put a link to this. There is a $7 for 30 days. You get to spend a whole month with me, and we'll trade and do all this kind of fun stuff, right? So come check that out. Again, I'm recording this on July 8th just because we just closed the trade. The theme of the trade, the process of the trade it doesn't go out of style, so this will apply to anything you want to trade, Amazon, Google, Nvidia, whatever. The same concept works, right? But if you are near Vegas or want to see more, then I am speaking at the Money Show. Money Show is a really cool thing. My wife and I both speak at the Money Show when we can. But we're going to use Fibonacci levels to set up defined risk trades in the stock market. It's a 2-hour live trading thing. We're going to ask for, give us a name of a stock, and we'll look it up, and if it looks good, we'll set a trade up and that type thing. So this is Thursday, July 17th. Again, if you're watching this video and it's a year from now, this won't matter. But if you're watching it now, try to make this if you can, or if you're going to be at the Money Show, reach out to me, and we'll love to meet up with you. And I'm of course at the Simpler Trading site. So with that, let me wind it up. I'll put links to this stuff down below for everyone. And again, if you like what you see, come try the trials 30 days and see what you think. So, and I'll be glad to help you any way that I can. So just let me know. So thanks for the time, guys. I appreciate it, and I will keep the videos coming of what we're doing in the bias room and the trades that we're putting on. So thanks for the time, guys. I appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Take care.